Hello everyone, today we are going to be doing how to use your all-purpose flour and make cake flour. Now, some people might not know the difference between cake flour and all-purpose flour. For all-purpose flour, you use all-purpose flour to bake whatever you want to bake with, maybe your pastries or any other thing. But when it has to do with particular kinds of cake, we call it cake flour. So there's a particular cake that you use only cake flour to bake it. And today I'm going to be teaching you how to use your all-purpose flour and bring out your cake flour. Now these are the various components we are going to be needing. This is my cup. You can see from here this is 1 cup. You can see this is half cup. I have 1 cup. I have another half cup. So we are going to be measuring our flour. Now this is all-purpose flour. You notice that all-purpose flour is not really as white as cake flour is. Cake flour is whiter than all-purpose flour, so obviously we have to do something so that we change the color. With this, you can't really bake a cake and have it as white as it's supposed to be. So in order to get a white cake, you obviously have to use a cake flour instead of using the normal all-purpose flour. And for that reason, we need to transform this cake flour, all-purpose flour, to cake flour before we can use it. Now, these are the things we are going to be using. We have our cake, we have our all-purpose flour, and then we have our cornstarch. Now, this is cornstarch. You can see from there. Now, in order to transform my all-purpose flour to cake flour, I'll need to be adding a portion of I'll have to replace a portion of my all-purpose flour with cake flour. So I have to measure now. We have 3 cups. If we have to use 3.5, here we have this is my cup. And please, when you're measuring, you see what I'm doing. So I have this. I have to measure 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Now we have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour here. All-purpose flour is not as white as, you can notice how it is. It's not as white as cake flour is. For people who have been using cake flour is whiter than this. And you have some all-purpose flour in the market that is actually more brown than this. So with that, you can never really have a white cake. So I'm going to be adding a proportion of cornstarch to this all-purpose flour. I'll have to replace a proportion of it with cornstarch in order to have cake flour, since we need the cake flour to be white. So I'm going to be taking out 1 cup of this. This is 1 cup, and I'm going to be replacing that 1 cup with cornstarch. So this is our cornstarch. You see how white and smooth cornstarch is. You can see how it looks very white and smooth. For those who have been using cornstarch, they know the feeling of cornstarch is actually very smooth. So I'll just replace the same cup, the same quantity of flour that I took out with the same quantity of cornstarch. Now this is it. Now with this, I'll just run it over a sieve before I use it, just in case I have any lumps in my cornstarch or in my flour. So you do that before you sieve or you start any baking process with it. Now with this, if you have to bake, you notice that the color has actually changed. It has become brighter than it was before. This is the new color. And then whiter than the other. This one is whiter than the other. This is the normal all-purpose flour, and this is our cake flour. So with this you can bake a cake and you have it white, but with this you can't have a white cake. You can notice from the colors, they are very different. So that was the process of transforming our all-purpose flour to cake flour, or you call it the process of making cake flour. Some people might not understand it until when they have to use it. We use it in baking, we use it in many other things. So that is it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, like, share, and follow us to get more of our programs. Thank you.